Hey, this is Coach Chris Plourde. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend, Scott Ferguson.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I got my brother from another mother, my boy Chris Plourde. He's over there on the left coast in sunny California, just helping people just level up. He's a conscious performance coach, and he's so in the moment. He's so engaged. I literally had like 3 pages of notes during this interview. It was it was a blast. Me and Chris collaborate on stuff together, and we just love giving until it hurts so good. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, break out your notebooks, because here comes my really good friend, Chris Plourde. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson. I got a fellow coach that is out on the left coast that helps people level up, man. You have to go to his site after we're done. I'll put all that in the show notes, but it's my boy Chris Plourde. And he is a Los Angeles-based performance coach, consultant speaker, and mind body instructor with over 20 plus years of experience. Chris has traveled both nationally and internationally speaking, educated on the physical, mental, and emotional aspects of wellness in life. He's also worked with, listen to these companies, peeps, that he's worked with. Hey, Squad, he's worked with Disney, Equinox, the YPO Young Presents Organization, Tender Greens, Xerox. Oh my gosh, he just goes on Twitter, explore.org. He's mentored and consulted with celebrities, business executives, top fitness professionals, and military special ops personnel. By disrupting old patterns and identifying limiting beliefs, Chris guides his clients to achieving their goals and through the process of falling in love with the journey and become the greatest version of themselves. And I love that he said, fall in love with the journey, because at Time to Shine Today, that's what we talk about. And Chris, thank you for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Blue.
All right.
Blue. And as you can see, we are a big surfing family. We're here in the South Bay of LA. My son's out in the water right now, but the ocean, man, it's the ocean. It resets.
It's funny. It's funny you're doing that, because I'm literally looking at the Atlantic right now out my window. And it's like, we don't get the waves you get, but we get that salt life and that rejuvenation and whatnot. But let's get to your roots, brother. Where did you start? I know you said you're from the East Coast originally, but like, you're a rock star coach, man. You help level up people from all aspects of life, but you also have the celebrities and the special ops, which are, I did a few tours over there myself. So let's get to the roots, brother.
Yeah. No, I grew up just south of Boston in a city called Brockton. Big sports town. Marvin Hagler, Rocky Marciano, all grew up in that city.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my introduction to life. It was sports. It was City of Champions. It was just really hardcore, show up and it was a beautiful place to grow up. Really.
Yeah, you guys have a bond there, with, I grew up a Tigers fan and and a Lions fan, but being in Detroit and whatnot, we have a solid sports fan base, but that Red Sox nation and whatnot is just, you guys are so tight. And I love Boston. It's my second favorite city on this planet Earth, behind San Diego. Boston is just fantastic, man. It's great, like you said, kind of blue collar, working class, but really bonded.
Right.
Man. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I remember growing up in Fenway and the Garden and, Foxborough, but coming out to LA at the stadium and nothing wrong. I was like, oh, it doesn't have the energy that Fenway has, going, what's going on here? Something's missing.
Right.
So
you don't, and Fenway is like one of the last few original parks that are up there. And I actually worked in Nantucket when you're bartending, and we got a whole group of people that go and took the ferry back to the mainland and went to Fenway, and it happened to be when Clemens was pitching that night, but not for Boston. So it was a heck of an experience. So let's get into the roots of the coaching, man. Like, how do we roll with that?
So originally I grew up with I have a business degree. I thought I had the mentality was, you got to get a good job in a good corporation, get good benefits, and life is going to be set. So on, I did that. I worked for all these great companies, and then just realized I wasn't fulfilled. There was something missing every time I got into it. About year into it, I was just like, what is going on here? Right. And I realized that I really loved working with people. And I, had coming from a sports background and eventually I got into ultra endurance sports and cycling and triathlons and all this other stuff. And it was all about coaching and working with people and seeing them develop through sport. And soon enough, it became even what's deeper than that? What is the motivation underneath the sport? What's really driving them in the why? And I was able to connect to that and, develop into a coach for business in all areas of life, using the same fundamentals as, hey, if I'm training someone for an Ironman, right? What is that process of getting them through? It's not just about, okay, go out and ride. It's like, let's tap into here, but more importantly, the heart. Like, what is driving you to get through that finish line? And are you just getting through it? Or are you in the process of loving the journey that you're on, the training that you're on?
Yeah. I mean, everything's rooted in that journey, man. And that's, and enjoying it, even in the shitty times, excuse my language. You know what I'm saying? And really, 100%. Grasping onto that. So what do you feel then, Chris, makes a great coach in your line of work?
I think it's empowering. It's really getting them to listen to or helping them understand their own voice. It's not about the coach and what they're saying. It's the questions that they're asking. Yes. Right. Can you hold that mirror up to them and be truthful and honest and go, hey, you got to listen. What do you need right now? What is it? You can have the best coach in the world and put the best training program together for anybody, or what's going to get them to perform at their best as an executive or, somebody starting up a new business. It's listening to those instincts, and it's getting rid of all the clutter and all the stuff that goes on in that left brain and getting them to connect internally and say, okay, this is what makes sense. This is your own path, not somebody else's path. This is your own path. And you got to know that you're writing this next chapter and follow that and trust it, that it's working out for you.
Love that, man. I love it. And being authentic to yourself. And like you just keep saying, you're always saying, enjoy that journey. And I can't say it enough. So when you're working with somebody, you obviously do a lot of one-on-one work, right, Chris? Mm-hmm, okay. Mm-hmm, sure. So you're bringing somebody in. Do you have any kind of secret sauce that you could possibly share if you feel comfortable to maybe help them find their blind spots?
Yeah, 100%. So when I start with clients, generally we go through a series of, we're spending an hour, 90 minutes on the phone or together at first. But one of the big things that I love going through, it's challenging, it's really challenging, is what are the things, the major things that happen to you in your life, happen for you in your life. And those could be, for me, for example, I was bullied as a kid. I was a super sensitive kid growing up. I thought there was something wrong with me. Of course, growing up where I grew up, got therapy in elementary school because I was so sensitive. Oh. So I developed this armor, this like, what is a man? What vulnerability? No, I'm going to just push through this. Sure. That was one major thing. Losing a sister when I was 12, and she was a younger sister. That was rough. But what were the lessons that came out of that? Having a dad that was great, but, having alcohol problems his whole life, being an alcoholic, and looking at those major steps that have happened in my life and not being a victim of them, but going, what is this trying to teach me? Wow. What are the gifts that are coming out of these situations, no matter how hard they are, and getting my clients to look at those gifts and own those gifts as opposed to being victimized by them. Right. I love that. That's a process. It's a process. Yeah.
So I'm hearing a lot about responsibility. Is the word that keeps on popping in my head. Chris, what is your definition of responsibility?
I think it's taking ownership for your life. That's it. It's what is your goal? We get to set goals and go, discipline. People think it's like, all right, I got to get to work. Right. I gotta be this hardcore, put it in play. I'm going to get it done no matter what. But I think discipline equals freedom.
Does right? Jocko, baby. Love him.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Good buddy of mine. That. I love it. Mm-hmm. So I love that. Take ownership of your life. I was taught with my mentors. Responsibility is the ability to respond. It's rooted right in the word.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
I love it. So our takes are so parallel. So
That's it.
When you're in a discovery time with, which Squad, you can go to his website and click on discovery call. Don't do it yet. Let's hear him out. But in that discovery time, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
It's funny. One of the questions that gets asked is I want you to, can you be really hard on me? Can you be really like, can you just come, like when you see something that's missing, come down on me. Like, I want you to just kick my ass.
Right.
And I'm like, no one's going to kick your ass harder than yourself.
Right.
I'm not here to kick your ass. I'm here to hold that space for you. We're not playing David Goggins here. Right. I'm here to, right. But that's what the research shows. Yeah. Right. Well, that's the whole thing. If we're coming from that survival left brain, which so many people do when they build businesses and get through races and all of this from that survival brain, from that judge, from that hypervigilant controller victim place, right? Mm-hmm. Which we've all know what that voice sounds like.
Sure.
But when we get them to listen, to switch, to burn the new neural pathways and go from the right side, go from the more compassionate, innovated type of place, that sage-like way.
Yeah, man.
Research shows that you're actually going to be 30% more successful, 10 times more happier. You're going to live 20 years longer. But most people won't give that way of doing things up because they've gotten to a certain place. But if you really ask them, yeah, you're successful. You might have millions of dollars in the bank. You might have these great companies, but are you fulfilled?
Love it.
Are you fulfilled and are you happy?
Yeah.
And a lot of people I start working with are like, no. I go, what's your level on a scale of 1 to 10 of fulfillment? And if you really ask them, they're like 5, 6. Well, how do we get it to 9 or 10?
Yeah. It's all about like going in that journey and enjoying that as you go along. The money will come.
That's right.
So what do you think then, Chris, your strengths are, bro?
A pretty good motivator. When we get into it and getting them to understand and see themselves, I get to see them for who they are, right? Good instincts and really seeing somebody's soul, like their direction, right? What are their gifts?
Sure.
What are their passions? And how do we flip that? I'll take those and bring them into service.
Love it.
Service of the world, right? So that's it. I mean, I just love bringing all areas. Like, it's not just about one thing, it's about all your areas of your life. Let's look at the full spectrum of your life. Let's look at your profession. Let's look at your personal relationships with yourself and others. Right? Yeah. Let's look at your finances, because that's holding a lot of people back. Even though they may have a lot of money, they might have a shitty relationship with money, right? Spirituality, whatever that is for you. Right? Let's take a look at that. And then the health and wellness. How are you treating your body? What are you doing every day?
Yeah, man.
To take care of that temple, because you're not going to be as creative and as successful and as happy if you're putting shit in your mouth and you're not exercising the right exercise.
It starts
for you.
there, man. It's
everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. That's why, having the foundation of fitness and, having my career start there was fundamental.
It's
now
fundamental.
we get to tap into everything.
It's funny. Not funny. You say, like, my analogy that I use with my clients, which my squad out there listens, I use it as like a jazz band. I love jazz. It's like, your family is the drums, your money's the guitar, your relationships are the trumpet. And if one of them is out of tune, it sounds like shit. You know what I'm saying? So you get those 100%. Going, because balance to me is 0. I like harmony.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like harmony. I love that. So to what extent do you appreciate any limitations that you got, bro?
What are my limitations?
Yeah. Do you appreciate them and learn from them?
Oh, I mean, one of my mentors said, your life is going to present, Peter Crone, life is going to present you with the situations, circumstances, and people to show you where you are not free. Right. So if those things coming back into your life, the same relationships, right? You're having the same problems, the same circumstances keep coming back. For example, money, right? You keep, your bank account gets low, whatever. Oh, there's a scarcity thing. Well, how are you approaching that? Let's
Right.
look at that, right? Your same type of relationship keeps showing up in your life. The woman that has the same qualities, and those might represent your mom and the issues that, you've had with her, or your dad,
Sure.
whatever the case. So let's look at those things that are unresolved. We're not going into deep trauma therapy. We
Right.
can do that with
Right.
the right people.
Yeah.
But, my job as a coach is to look at those things, but get into action.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's move forward. Let's look at where we're going in life, as opposed to where are we moving towards, as opposed to what are we running away from? And most people are running away from what they don't want, as opposed to moving towards what they want.
Truth. Right? Yeah. And even when they're running away from what they don't want, they're not running to what they want. They're running away in that scarcity, that fear. I love it. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's another one of my truths, is I got to bring that to them. Let's identify, what are you running, or are you running away? Or are you running towards?
Love it. And you're obviously doing that through solid, powerful questions, and listen intently, not just your ears, but your eyes. And like we say, the back of our neck, we're really listening. Right. So have you seen Back to the Future?
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Double Deuce, that 22-year-old, Chris. What kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping on the 20-year-old Chris to maybe help him level up, last through, and shorten that learning curve just a little bit?
Yeah. Slow down. Right. That's when I came out to LA, right around that time, right? Wow. 22, 23. And I was all over the place, as far as, I was doing every sport under the sun. I was, and what I realized, I was biking, doing kickboxing, yoga, and this is in one day. I was like a kid in a I was surfing. I was a kid in a candy store.
Right.
And the reason I tell you that is because what I realized, even though I was having fun, I wasn't slowing down enough to feel. Right. The first time I ever heard myself say, I'm sad. Right. Like, I gave myself permission to feel those feelings of I'm sad, was in Marina Del Rey. And I remember specifically where I was standing, and I gave myself permission to actually feel those feels, like get vulnerable for the first time. Right. And the reason I hadn't before is because I built up this persona, this masculine, everything is good. I'm going to tough it through this. I'm going to do it all on my own and not ask for help.
Sure.
Right. And when I gave myself permission to feel the feels and slow down and really kind of get simple in my life, that's when things started to accelerate.
Dude, I love that you said that, because a lot of people, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to something else to slow them down, instead of, like you said, feeling the feel. I had lucky enough last week to interview Steve Aoki, the big DJ. Yeah. He's like, dude, that's why I don't do drugs or drink before a show, because it's like, whether I'm in front of 3 people, 30 people, 30,000, 3 million, whatever it is, he wants to feel that feel and that fear and enjoy that journey. And that's exactly how you explained it. Thank you for saying that, dude.
You just gave me chills right there. Yeah. Because exactly like that right there is what it comes. That is the biggest high you're ever going to get.
Dude, it is.
When you're in a room or you're working with somebody and you're in that field, right? Like what Steve said, right? That's where you're present. You're not in the future in anxiety. You're not in the past in depression. You're right here in this moment.
Exactly.
And that's what I think everybody's searching for.
I love it, man. I love it. So, Chris, how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date, and your tombstone. Hopefully it's a long time away. But how do you want your dash remembered, brother?
That's a great question. Freedom, I think. Freedom and legacy. That, but not just for me, for the people around me.
Love it.
Right. Like if I look at my kids, and I got scared one time, and I was doing really well in fitness and 6 digits and this and that. My wife got pregnant, 16 years ago. And, I was like, shit, am I doing the right thing? Should I go back into corporate? And maybe I should, what's the highest paying job I could get? Right. So this is true. So I was like, medical device sales. So I did up my resume. Eventually I got a job in medical device sales as my son was born. And I got back in, I was in the OR. So it was kind of cool and operate all these, operations and working with doctors. But the same thing happened. I was working off of fear.
Yeah.
And then I asked myself, what is it I want to pass on to my son? So along the lines with this question is follow your heart. Do what you love to do. And if I wasn't following that and I was chasing the money, right? How could I say that to him? Do what you love.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing it. So I guess it is freedom, but to think about it a little more, it's like, do what you love.
Love it, dude. And let me ask you something like quickly on this one. What's your acronym for fear? You know, everybody's.
Oh, yeah. What is that?
Because everyone, I asked this, if you use the word fear. So I'm just curious if you have an acronym that you use. Mine's
I don't have an acronym, but
I use face everything and respond. That's my jam, but a lot of people false evidence of fearing real. I just was curious. Anyways, that was just an off the cuff question. But what do people misunderstand?
Fear's okay. Fear's
Dude,
okay.
I love fear.
No, right. But it's like, but here's the thing is, and a lot of people don't, is it driving your car? It can be in the back seat, giving you a little bit of directions here and there, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's not driving and it's not shotgun.
Love it.
Right? Let it be in the back.
Yeah.
You know, you can hear it, but it is not driving you to what you want. It is there to show you where you're at.
Love it. Love it. And so what do people misunderstand the most about Chris?
About me?
About you?
I'm actually a real softie. I think when people first meet me, right, that I've been told in my days that I was a hammer and everything was a nail, right? And because sometimes I can still get in that direct mode, right? And sometimes it's like, no, I'm really looking out. I want you to be the best version of yourself.
Love it.
And that's the whole point is I'm not that. Like, I want you to be the best version of yourself, but I'm not going to hammer you and break you down to the point where you're nothing left. That's the whole point, is building you up to be the best version of you.
How can you enjoy that journey without, enjoying it at the same time? So then what keeps you up at night, Chris?
That 3 a.m. call. Right. That right. Does everybody get that? That 3 a.m. wakes you up and the anxiety starts to go.
Oh yeah, buddy.
You know, it's always there, but it gets less and less. And I think there's scarcity that can keep me up.
Oh, me too, bro.
Lack of.
I love your transparency on that. You know what, you and I think probably blasted through this, the actually being paralyzed by our scarcity, but it still creeps up on you, bro. You know 100%. What I'm saying? There's a little bit of kryptonite in that. So,
but it's knowing where it came
exactly.
from. It's like if my mom was brought up, with 8 siblings and there was scarcity there, she was always like, well, get that job so that you never have to experience this.
Right.
So I'm taking on that energy, not her fault. She's doing the best job with the tools she had.
Yeah.
But I still take that on. And when things get, low, you're like, oh, is everything going to be okay?
Right.
And what happens is, what most people don't understand is that they think it's just going to go away. It never goes away. It just, the voice gets softer and softer and softer.
Love it.
Right. And so the point where it's not running, you can just go, I see you.
I see you. You're there, baby.
I see you.
For the ride.
But you know what? Right. I'm going to move this way now. Right.
Okay. So take out of this question, the equation of a cell phone, anything electronic. Let's take out cell phone out of this, tablet, computer. What are 3 things Chris can't live without?
3 things that I can't live without. Oh God, my kids.
Yeah. Right? Say that.
Right, my kids. My wife of 16 years coming up this year in a month. And you know what? This was a hard one for me, but and I didn't. It took a while to get this, but my quiet time.
Yeah, man.
Like my time with me.
Little sabbaticals, right?
I mean, it's like what does Chris need right now?
Love it.
Like listening to that voice. I was with a buddy. I'm in a men's organization, and we have weekly meetings and this and that. And he was saying, and he's a hard worker. He's a COO of a major restaurant chain. And he goes, before I got in this men's team, he goes, I the first meeting, 3 hours, he goes, I was able to pay attention to me for the first time for 3 hours. He goes, I haven't done that in 5 years.
Wow.
5 years.
Yeah.
For 3 hours, he was able to listen to what he needed as opposed to giving to his family and his business and everything else.
Yeah, man.
And
My
that's what I
clients
think.
my clients get a text
Yeah.
every day for daily sabbaticals. You know,
Yeah.
that it's time for that. I take them too,
Yeah.
man. And yeah, time to shine today. Podcast Varsity Squad. We're back. A good friend, Chris. And Chris, you and I could talk an hour easily in each one of these questions. You got 5 seconds with no explanations. And all of them can be answered that way. You ready to rock? All right, let's level up.
Go.
What's the best leveling up advice Chris has ever received?
Trust your heart.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Meditation and breath work.
Yes. Other than chrisplourde.com, and that's Plourde, the Plourde part, which will be in our show notes. Other than chrisplourde.com and of course timetoshinetoday.com, my shameless plug. Yeah. What website does Chris go to level up?
I love Seth Godin as of late.
Oh yeah, love it.
His blogs. They're
off the charts.
Yeah.
You see me walking down the street along the beach, and you're like, man, Fergie just doesn't seem right. He's off. What book are you handing me?
God, what is it? Oh, I just blanked on it. It's one of my favorites. It's about to fall in love with the journey. Oh, Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Dude, I just bought that. Swear to God, I'll show you on my screen when we're done. 62 pages. I can't.
You haven't read it yet?
Not yet. I don't know why. Literally is thrown into my inbox by my mentor.
One of my millionaire clients. God, sorry.
Dude,
gave me that.
No, we'll talk later about that, bro.
Yeah.
What's your most commonly used emoji?
Middle finger. No. Thumbs up.
New Year's resolution, if any.
Don't do resolutions, but set a path, a journey for.
You just say enjoy the journey. That's mine and yours.
Yeah, enjoy the journey.
Chess or checkers?
Chess.
Better than me. Favorite charity or an organization like to give your time or money
to? Food Forward as of the past 2 years.
Love it. Last question. You can elaborate on this one, Chris, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Oh, 90s college. Okay. Yeah.
How old are you, brother?
47.
Dude, you and I are same generation. I'm 49. So it's like,
you are. All right.
We look good.
Right there.
Sorry.
There you go.
We look good. Hey, Chris, my brother, how can we find you, man?
chrisplourde.com, my website. And my Instagram is Coach Chris Plourde, at Coach Chris Plourde. And then Facebook, you can find me at Chris Plourde, Conscious Performance Coach.
Love it. Love it. You got any coaching programs, books, or anything that coming out that I can share?
I do discovery calls. You can sign up on my website, free discovery calls to see if we're a match. You know, it's all about the energy. It's all about, is this going to be the path and the person you want in your corner? And then I got a bunch of programs coming up, online programs that'll be out in the next month or so. You can join me virtually for classes, for breathwork classes, and you can get a free breathwork class on my site too if you sign up as well.
Which technique do you usually use, Chris?
I'm like holotropic, so it's like a 2 breath in, 1 breath out, like really deep, 40 minutes or so.
Wow!
I went through my certification years back, and it's one of my favorite things that I teach. I mean, the fact now that the SEALs are using it for their training to get rid of the stuck energy and the emotions.
Love it.
It's a really powerful tool.
I love it. I practice Ashtanga yoga. Then we also have a pranayama class for breathing, but I do that along with, I kind of mix a little bit of Wim Hof with some box breathing. Right.
Yeah.
And it's changed my life. I mean, like you can go like a couple weeks or a few months without sunlight, a couple weeks without food, maybe a week without water, but breath, maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Like, dude, you know, so like and breathing is free medicine. I'm sure you agree. I mean, you can cure so much stuff. You just said that, man. So,
man, if we could go into it, there are so many stories I have around that are just phenomenal.
So, Chris, do me one huge solid and leave us with one last knowledge nugget that we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Run towards what you want. Get really clear in life and run towards it, and know that the path is happening for you.
Love it. And squad, we just had a free masterclass. My good buddy Chris Plourde here is just a rock star, top-notch coach that lived in the rat race mentality and then realized working with other people was his hinge moment. He follows intuition and then started leveling up. Find your underneath motivation. He reminded us your why, and Chris can help you do that. Let us make an introduction to Chris. He will help you understand your own voice. He's going to remind us many times throughout this awesome 30-minute conversation to enjoy your journey. Take ownership of your life. Slow down and experience the fun, the feel, and again, the journey. Follow your heart. He's going to be somebody that is remembered as somebody that really helped others level up. He enjoys freedom and he wants you to enjoy it too. He's a living legacy, and he's going to slide across home plate, bumped, bruised, hurt, but he's going to enjoy the journey the whole way around. And Chris, you've earned your varsity letter here. You level up your health. You level up your wealth. I'm blessed to know you. Glad that you're my friend, and I can't wait to collaborate in the future, brother.
So good. Thanks so much for having me, Scott. Really appreciate it. This was
fun.
You
bet. Chat soon. Love you guys, brother.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.